life, material life has got more importance to results. In spiritual life, the importance is to endeavor. So, endeavors themselves are actually success. So we should not become attached to results. It is said in spiritual life. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita, Karmanneva vitaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. Most of the people know this much shloka. Or only thing they speak is Karmanneva vitaraste. That is also true. But ma phaleshu kadachana. Krishna says, don't be attached to results. But also, Krishna says that one should not be detached from endeavor. So generally, we see that unless until some result is coming, we don't want to make effort. If there is some result, like if it is told to us that whatever paper you may write in exam, you may not get good marks or you may or may not get any good marks. It doesn't matter. You just write paper and you just study. You will see whether to give you marks or not. So nobody will, I think, agree to give exam, right? Or in company, if it is told to you that you may or may not get salary. Don't worry. Don't be attached to salary. Just do job. just work. Don't be attached to salary. I don't think anybody would like to work in such company. But the calculations of spiritual life are totally different. So that's why sometimes people feel that Krishna is expecting too much, demanding too much. Because he is telling you to endeavor also, but you don't expect any results also. This is too much. Either we work for results or we don't endeavor at all if there are no results. But how it is then? How this spiritual life is there? So, is it that Krishna not demanding too much then? So, the calculation is that, understanding is that Krishna knows the best. What is best for me, it is Krishna who knows. And also, at the same time, it is also true that Krishna, he does not hold back anything. So, devotional service never goes in vain. But the results may not be exactly according to our expectation or according to the time when we want. But, devotional service gives much more reward than one gets. But they will come as per Krishna's desire. So, it requires some faith in the Lord that desires will come. The results will come. That one day or other Krishna will give us mercy. So one should not think that if one is practicing devotional service and it will all go waste. It never goes waste actually. It always fructifies. So in this regard, the example is given of Chinese bamboo tree, something like that. Chinese bamboo tree. So this particular tree, if you see that, for almost 15 to 20 years, it doesn't show any result. It doesn't grow only. It doesn't grow. And then, but one has to simply keep on watering it still. And once the 20 years are over, that starts growing like anything. My God, it's like, it grows so fast and it gives such solid, wonderful bamboos. One can use it very nicely. So, how does when, but when if one is not able to see that result, then how does one continue watering? Like in any other, any other tree, if you see, there is a result visible within 3-4 days. Some result comes, right? Something comes out, something grows, some flower, some fruit comes. But here it doesn't come. So then, how do we continue? So the person has to continue on the basis of faith. Faith how? Faith from experienced person that it will grow. There is some experienced person, maybe a person's father or some friend, father or friend. So they are experienced. So on that basis, they have to keep doing it. And on the basis of that faith, one is doing it, eventually it will fructify. Also. So that's how spiritual life means one should not be attached to the result, but should not be detached from endeavor with a faith that Krishna knows best when he will give me the promised results. At the same time, it is not that there is no result seen at all in spiritual life. There is a change, as we see many of us, there is a big change in ourselves, what we were before and what we are now, isn't it? There is a lot of change, there is a lot of reduction in anarthas. So, certainly some amount of change is there and some amount of, challenge is there. Some result is also seen, some challenge is also there. But if we continue the process, putting faith on the Lord, we will see that eventually the big change will happen. So in the beginning, the change is not so much noticed. Another example Prabhupada gives is also this way, that you see a boy, he is growing. So every day he is growing little, but those who are in the home staying with the boy, they don't notice so much change. But somebody after some 1 year or something, he comes and he says, oh, the boy has grown so much. And the relatives in the home, they may not feel that there is much change because they see him every day. So, but other person who is coming after 1 year, he will say, oh, there is such a big change in the body of the boy. He has grown up a lot. So, same way, this also, it works with spiritual life also, that although we may not be able to understand the big change, but the change is nonetheless there. It is, and over the years we will be able to see, that there is a big change. So devotee has to be confident. That's what is Nischayat. Nischayat means having confidence on the Lord. That yes, one day or other things will take place. Also, on the other side, a devotee also has to continue to overcome his anarthas, because more the anarthas are removed by us, more the confidence will develop. So, because if one thinks that I will not do anything, automatically some change may happen. That will happen, but maybe after a good amount of time. It may take too much time more. But if one is very sincerely working on removing the anarthas, then he will be able to experience the change more fast within himself. He can quickly experience the change within himself. So these anarthas to be removed also. So one of the very important biggest anarthas is this envy. Because this nature of envy is that although we may be having lot, but still we don't feel satisfied because of comparing with others or because of competing with others. That sometimes we may say that just see, this boy, he came after me in Krishna consciousness and he has got so much mercy now. He has become an important man in the world. And what I am, I am practicing since so many years, but nobody even cares for me. Nobody recognizes my potential, talent. So this is how the mind may trick. It tricks sometimes, that in by saying like this. So that is the seed of envy. Actually, it is not like that. That we are not getting any opportunity. Every one of us is getting sufficient opportunities. Every one of us is getting sufficient mercy and care. But because of sometimes due to this envy and competitive mentality, we compare ourselves with others. So we sometimes think that, oh, I am not getting anything. That person is getting a lot, like that. So in this way, that also is another obstacle. Because on one side, there is kind of the process, process is giving out some kind of, it takes its own course of giving us the results. And on the other side, this envy is the thing which is pulling us back because we keep on comparing with others. So how do we understand whether I have envy within myself? To whom I am envious? How do I understand? Any answer?
By seeing his progress, we feel jealous about it. By seeing others' progress, we feel jealous about it.
Okay, by seeing others' progress, we feel jealous. Why he is making progress? Why not I?
And also, we are not happy by his progress and improvement.
We don't feel happy by seeing others' progress. Any other?
Sometimes we feel insecure also. Sometimes we feel insecure.
We feel insecure by somebody. Correct. We feel insecure also. Very true. Any other symptom?
With equals, generally we feel envy because everything is started at same time, so we feel insecure.
With equals, we feel insecure. Correct. Generally, envy is more towards equals.
Correct. Many times we don't try to see the reason behind the things, why it is happened. We just, without knowing the reason behind things happen, we just judge the situation and make wrong perception about the person, and just keep on blaming that person without understanding why he did that like this.
Correct. Or on the other way around, it is we don't understand the efforts put by the person, and when he gets results, we feel why he's getting results. like it.
Yeah.
We see that some person, he may be very nicely practicing Krishna consciousness sincerely, and that we don't see. Then, oh, he has put so much effort also, so he deserves that. That we don't see. But then, although I may not have put that much effort, but still I want the same result. Also, how do we understand that I have envy with some person? Some simple day-to-day life, you can see that if you are asked to accompany some person or go with, do I like to go with him? Or do I want to always avoid him? So, that is one symptom. Then, as some of you said that, how I feel with someone's failures or successes. Do I become happy when somebody fails? Or will I become happy when somebody become successful? So, that is also one of the symptoms. That is the envy. If you feel happy by seeing others' failures, that means that is envy, clearly. Then, how do I feel when somebody's appreciation is given to somebody or chastisement is given? So, do I feel happy when somebody is chastised, or when appreciation is given to someone, do I feel happy? So, the root cause of these are the symptoms, basically, of envy. So this is how we can understand whether I have envy or not. But the root cause of this envy is sense gratification. In material world, the competition for self gratification is very strong, and that's what it leads to envy. So that's why the sense gratification has to be handled properly. How self-gratification leads to envy is basically because the desires are unlimited and ambitions are unlimited, but the resources is limited in this world. So that's why that leads to envy. But a devotee is known by this quality of Atveshta Sarva Bhutana Maitra Karuna Evacha. Devotee is by nature, he is non-envious towards others, and he is always friendly. Friendly means not just he hangs around everyone and talks very nicely, but he is well-wisher of everyone. That is what is called as friendly. So, so how do we overcome this envy? So one has to actually overcome the attachment to sense gratification. Because a person who doesn't have attachment to sense gratification, he naturally has no hankering, and that's how he doesn't envy. For example, if I am attached to getting a very posh car, then I become envious of a person who has that car. And if I don't have that car, suppose I say that I want limousine car. So if I don't have it and other person has it, I will feel envious. But if I am okay, whether I get car or not, it's up to Lord. If I get more money, I may take it. If I don't get much money, I won't have it. It's not a problem. I'm not attached to doing that, having that car. Then I don't feel any envyingement. So that's how the sense gratification has to be checked. Also, we should develop the habit of glorifying Vaishnavas and serving them. that habit has to be developed. That we should speak more and more glories of Vaishnavas, and we should serve devotees. Actually, this is the antidote of envy. That glorification, appreciation, and serving Vaishnavas. Because it is like nectar, and envy is like poison. The more we take nectar, more the poison will be neutralized. So we have to try our best to appreciate, glorify the devotees, and serve the devotees more and more. Then we should avoid bad association, especially in this regard, the bad association is association of people who are envious or critical towards others. Sometimes with the Vaishnava Sangha, there may be dosha katha being discussed. Actually, frankly speaking, the greatest obstacle in the progress of any Vaishnava community is this Vaishnava Ninda and dosha katha. If that one thing can be eradicated, any Vaishnava society can progress such a great degree. So as we know, these scorpions, when the person he catches the scorpion, he doesn't put any lead on the vessel in which he has put scorpion. Why? Why there is no lead put? Because he knows that they'll never come out. Because one scorpion tries to come out, another scorpion pulls him down. Similarly, by speaking dosha katha, or by always, having a ninda, by doing, criticizing other Vaishnavas, we actually pull each other down and don't allow them to progress. In this way, the whole mission also, progress of the mission also gets hampered by that way. So that is a bad association, actually speaking. So we should avoid that type of bad association, because such bad association will also pull us down in our spiritual life. It will force us to do Vaishnava Ninda, bad association. It will force us. That's why Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, he had this particular feature. So he is a great Acharya in this regard, that he would never like to hear the fault of any Vaishnava. And he would say, even if it is true, but I am not interested to hear that. So that's what also is, he is a great ideal in this regard. So he would say that I am not interested, even though it is true. And he would immediately run away from that place. He would block his ears and run away from that place. So such bad association should be avoided. We should not associate with people who always criticize other devotees. That really causes a lot of damage to our spiritual life, actually. Criticizing, dosha katha, Vaishnava Ninda, it has a lot of effect. One may have to share sometimes with an intimate friend, sometimes the pain of one's heart, but that should not become a daily pastime of criticizing only. But it should be actually, it should be only to pacify the person and make the person positively oriented in his spiritual life. Also, we should learn to share credit and reveal our hearts to others. We should not hold on the credit for ourselves all the time. We have to know that in every effort, there is a contribution of many, many people. And we have to give the due credit to them. That, suppose I have become successful, but it is not that on my own strength I have become successful. There are so many devotees involved, so many prayers of devotees are involved. Krishna is involved himself as a maximum personality who deserves the credit. Krishna himself, and what to speak of many other devotees, their prayers, blessings, and our efforts may have, our talents and efforts may have little portion in it. So we have to share the credit, not grab the whole credit for ourselves. Also, we should reveal our heart to others so that others will, those who can cure it, not everyone. We should reveal our heart to those who can cure and give us the solution. And in this way, they can help us out, come out of that propensity. And we should pray to Krishna to overcome this envy. Should pray that, Lord, please give me your mercy so that I can overcome this envy. Prayers have great power actually. Also, we have to know that Krishna can reciprocate unlimitedly. Krishna is not having limited resources. In this material world, there may be limited resources. But Krishna has unlimited resources, and he has got unlimited love, and he has got unlimited affection for each and every living entity. So even if we are neglected, we should not become envious, because there is no dearth of mercy and love in Krishna's heart. He is very, very kind to everyone, and he has got intimate relationship with everyone. So if somebody is dear to Krishna, doesn't mean other cannot become dear to Krishna. That is not the calculation. In material world, that is a calculation. Oh, if this person is dear to me, then another person is not as dear. But in spiritual life, that is not a calculation. Spiritual life, everybody can be dear to Krishna. And everybody has got very unique service for Krishna. Everybody has got unique reciprocation for Krishna. So in this regard, we can always remember the pastime of the squirrel and Hanuman, that Lord never neglects any little service done also. But at the same time, he sees how much you hold back. Now, if Hanuman would have said, okay, anyways, Ram is pleased with squirrels, I'll also do service like squirrel. No, he sees what you hold back. Hanuman should do Hanuman service, squirrel should do squirrel service. But the success of both of them, as we discussed in the beginning, is that they are fully engaged into the service of the Lord. They are trying their best to serve the Lord. And that's how the Lord becomes equally pleased with both. In one place, Prabhupada writes also that Krishna is equally affectionate to Radharani and to a calf. He doesn't see any difference between their service. So that rasa level intimacy may be different, but Krishna's love for everyone is equal actually. So also, it is nice to write the glories of devotees whom we feel envious of. That will also help. We can write some glorification. So this is how the mind becomes, forcefully pleased. If we glorify that devotee whom we feel envious of, then the mind cannot hold on to the envious attitude. It has to melt. Envy has to melt. So these are all some of the obstacles. Like similarly, there are other obstacles like fear, attachment, anger. They should be given by any spiritualist. It is not only that as a ISKCON devotee we have to give it up, but any spiritualist, he has to learn to give up these kind of attitudes, wrong attitudes in one's life. Then we will be able to see quickly the result of bhakti also. More we work upon these anarthas and try to deliberately drive them away from our heart, even though they may not go fully, no problem. But at least we are trying, we are endeavoring. Again, the same original statement that we should be attached to endeavor, but we should be detached from the result, but we should not be detached from the endeavor. So we are endeavoring to remove these anarthas. And they may not have gone fully, no problem. But their endeavor itself will be able to give us some tangible sense of you can say sense of satisfaction that okay, the process is there. I am able to follow the process, and eventually we will see that the result also comes out that devotee can, as the sincere struggling sadhaka, he can influence many more devotees, many other people to take up Krishna consciousness also. That's how the result is shown also. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says you can judge a Vaishnava by how many people he influences to become devotees in Krishna consciousness. So, so that's how we will see that eventually that Vaishnava's influence or that Vaishnava's example will be inspiring force for many people to take up Krishna consciousness also. That will happen. On the other hand, the devotee, he is not enamored, he doesn't feel on this side that, oh, just I have produced such a big result and influenced so many people. His heart is always the heart of compassion. He doesn't want to show the results to prove his greatness, because otherwise it will again lead to envy. The moment one tries to show one's greatness, the envy will immediately be accompanying it. Because pride and envy are always brothers to each other, right? Because if one is proud, then one cannot tolerate anybody having anything better than us. So that's why although a devotee may get some success, he may be able to overcome some anarthas, he may be able to influence others by his devotion service, but still he remains very humble. And he influencing others is not to show his greatness to others or to the world, that just see हमारे इतने सारे फेसबुक फॉलोअर्स है, हमारे इतने सारे लाइक्स है, हमारे इतने सारे व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है, फ्रेंड्स है, फॉलोअर्स है, whatever. But it is actually a devotee influences other people only for one purpose, as their very, very loving, well-wishing friend. He wants to influence. Why? Because he wants to take them to Krishna. He wants them to get mercy of Krishna. He wants them to attach them to the lotus feet of Krishna. That is the only purpose. He doesn't want things for himself, but he wants to, bring people to the lotus feet of Krishna. It is for their welfare. As a genuine friend, he wants to influence others. So we see this Vasudeva Datta, he had such a wonderful qualification. So one day he approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with tears in his eyes. He said, Mahaprabhu, my heart breaks by seeing how people are suffering because of forgetfulness of Krishna. That is the only reason that they are suffering. They are making so many efforts in this world to become happy, but they don't know actually how to be happy. So in ignorance, they are suffering like anything. So my heart breaks by seeing that. So please, my only request is that please take these all people to the spiritual world. Do not keep them in material world. Please take them to the spiritual world. And in case you think that they are very much unqualified, then please transfer their all sinful reactions on me and let me suffer in hell, for rest of eternity. Because if one person has to suffer in hell and the rest of the world goes to the spiritual world, what is the loss? It's wonderful. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he heard that, he started crying tears. And he said, it is not amazing, my dear Vasudeva Datta, that you are praying like this. Because you are Prahlad. So your prayers are not something wonderful. It is natural that you are praying in this way. And it says, by hearing your genuine, sincere feelings of prayers, Krishna will surely fulfill your desire. But for that, you don't have to go to hell. Why Krishna has to go to hell? This whole material world, this entire universe is like one mustard seed in the bag of mustard seed. So if one mustard seed is lost, what is the loss for the Lord in the whole bag of mustard seed? There is no loss at all. So why should Lord, put you into hell? So neither you will have to go to hell, but similarly your desire will be fulfilled also. In this way, the genuine well-wishing is also antidote of envy. That one should become the genuine well-wisher of the people. Of course, we cannot imitate Vasudeva Datta. He had exalted consciousness. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said that I am simply the Vasudeva Datta's property. He can sell me anywhere he likes. He can sell me off in any market to anyone. I am simply his property. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. We cannot imitate Vasudeva Datta, but that well-wishing attitude towards others have to be developed by devotee. That's the antidote of envy also. That well-wisher, we have to learn to become well-wisher. So Vasudeva Datta was well-wisher of whom? Of the entire universe. He was wishing well for the entire universe. So Prabhupada compares, of course, I don't have any adhikar to compare to great souls, but still, because Prabhupada says, just repeat, that Jesus Christ was concerned only with his followers and he was ready to take their sin and deliver them. But Vasudeva Datta did not have that much also. He was ready to take the sin of the entire universe and he wanted to send everyone back to Godhead. So that is how the greatness of Vasudeva Datta was. He was genuine well-wisher of every person in this universe. So that's the highest. Actually, that's the highest. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha. Means devotee is not only not envious. Means not envious means ठीक है, let him also progress. I don't care. Let him progress. जो भी है उसका भगवान देख लेंगे, अच्छा है. जो भी है होने दो. That is non-envious. Okay. But sarva bhutanam maitra means he is friend to everyone, genuine well-wisher to everyone. Karuna means he is also compassionate towards them. So he wishes well for them. So that is the highest standard. That is the symptom of a pure devotee, that he is friendly to all living entities. He is genuine well-wisher of each and every living entity. Irrespective of who he may be. He may be from which country, from which race, from which sex, from which caste or creed or which universe or which species. He is friend of everyone. So we may not be able to imitate that level of well-wishing, but we can at least try becoming well-wisher of the devotees around us, our equals at least. To begin, we have to become well-wisher of our own friends and the devotees who are staying with us and the devotees whom we are in touch with. At least we should learn to become their well-wisher first, to begin with. Then we may become the well-wisher of our temple devotees, and eventually we can expand the circle of being well-wisher of all the devotees in the world. And then eventually we can become the well-wisher of all human beings in the world. Then we can become well-wisher of all species in the world. So that way. So actually the process of Krishna consciousness is also this way. Sometimes when we see what is the result, this is one of the results of Krishna consciousness, that one becomes the well-wisher of everyone. So and we have, how do we become well-wishers of everyone? For that, we have to be motivated by the examples of such great souls. Like Vasudeva Datta and other great personalities. When we see their examples, then we become also motivated. Okay, he is well-wisher of all universe. Let me become well-wisher at least of my some friends. At least when they are getting some mercy or special credit, I should not become envious. I should appreciate and be happy by saying, oh, he is getting nice mercy. So it should happen that way. So if we cannot become well-wisher of even our friends, then how we can become well-wisher of the whole world? That is not possible. So also we have to become fixed in our sadhana, otherwise we will get bewildered. This material world is a place of envy. People are naturally envious of each other. So that's the nature of this material world. So when sometimes we get carried away by the material world, thinking that, just see, he has, in this world nobody likes others' progress. By naturally that tendency comes in us also, that we don't like others' progress. But that's why we have to become fixed up in sadhana, by which we will not get bewildered by the propaganda of this world. The propaganda of this world will not bewilder us. So that's how we become free from this tendency of enviousness. So these are some of the tips by which we can gradually overcome the enviousness and we can experience that result of Krishna consciousness within our heart eventually. And actually, when one becomes well-wisher of everyone, then we can actually clearly see that he becomes the friend of everyone. And when one becomes friend of everyone, one becomes peaceful himself also. He will himself feel great peace within his own heart by being well-wisher of everyone. Okay, so I think we can stop here for today. Is that all right?
Ruji, can you take one question?
Okay. Question if somebody else I can answer.
Yes, I only wanted to ask, like, the topic of how envy comes is we feel insecure, and therefore sometimes we feel that others are progressing, that insecurity comes. That is, and you said that like sense gratification is generally the cause. Like, I understand grossly sometimes our sense gratification is hampered. We feel that on a subtle level also sometimes it happens. Like, we find security in certain philosophical statement or towards some person, that because he's practicing, I feel that this process is nice. But sometimes that person may not be able to go ahead, or some problems happen, something happens, we don't know. uh, or sometimes we hear some philosophical statement, and then from another authentic person we hear statement which may be contradicting, or maybe not going in line with that. So that also sometimes brings us little insecurity, and we get build. So in that, how and that also arises envious, that how can there be different opinion like that. So how to deal with that, I wanted to ask. I could
Very deep question. Very subtle. Actually, this is. Sometimes we take shelter of philosophy to justify our envy. Correct. That's why this humility is a very important quality for a devotee. So humility, one of the very essential aspects of humility is that I don't know fully everything. That's very safe. So I don't know fully. I am not all-knowing. I am not omniscient. So if you have that understanding that I am not omniscient, I don't know fully what is the real path. Many times, at least in my personal life, I experienced that I tried to pin down somebody else's understanding or somebody else's action, but later on I found that it was correct. Although to my some perception it was not correct, but later on I found out, it was very much correct, what he did. That was exactly according to Guru Sadhu Shastra, according to the desire of Vaishnava. But I couldn't understand that. Frankly speaking, once it so happened that I think I had revealed this once, that I had gone to one Atharva program in student days. Those days, Raishampur used to take Atharva program in Jayadev Prabhu's house. So we would go from our GGD boys to all the way to Range Hill to attend the Raishampur's program. And it was a nice congregation program, but it was nice Bhagavad Gita classes Raishampur was taking. So we had some eagerness those days more to hear Raishampur's classes and get his association. So we would go there and attend. So once Raishampur asked this question that, that if one does good sadhana, then one can attain perfection. So by doing good sadhana, one can attain perfection. Unless until one puts a very sincere efforts in sadhana, one cannot attain any perfection in this life. So he was emphasizing on important points. And he just asked, but is there any other way that one may become perfect? So in my heart, the answer was no. There is no other way. But then one Mataji raised hand and she said, by mercy. By mercy also, one can attain perfection. That is called as Kripa Siddhi. I asked, what is this, Mataji? She doesn't understand. She's just a woman are generally considered less intelligent. So all kinds of thoughts were going on. She doesn't understand. Kashyap is saying that there is no other way. Sadhana has to be performed very sincerely. So she's contradicting it. So, and she doesn't know very well. So all these thoughts were going on. By the time Rajashankar responded to her, within that gap between her answer, generally we see that the gap is only 1 or 2 minutes, but within that so many thoughts, strike our shore, the waves of thoughts strike the shore of our heart, isn't it, and our mind. So then I was thinking this way, that way. But then Rajashankar said, yes, she's telling about Kripa Siddhi. So that is another way. So there is Sadhana Siddhi and Kripa Siddhi. Like that Toji explained. And Toji accepted her answer very, favorably. And I was shocked. Oh, really? What I was thinking that I know everything. I know very good philosophy. But then I understood, I am a bacha yet. I don't know much yet. I don't know the full picture. I don't know whole philosophy myself. I should not be very proud that I know everything. So that's how, when we have that proper humility to understand that, then one will not become envious by different people putting different opinions, or different people differing in certain philosophical conclusions. So, because that's why I said that this is a very deep and subtle question. In spiritual life, there are many rights. That's where the problem comes, right? If it is just plain right or wrong, it is easy. But there are many rights, there are many correct angles of thinking and understanding. There are many correct ways of doing that. But because we are grown up in a particular time, we think this is the way. Like, if we think that voice is the way for becoming a devotee, that's not correct understanding. So anybody who doesn't fall into category of voice is bogus. But that's not correct. Now our entire congregation in our temple, so they are not voice devotees. Most of them, 95% of our congregation are not devotees, voice devotees. So is it that they are all bogus? No. There is a possibility that some are bogus. But many of them are very sincere devotees. In fact, I see some of the devotion, you come and see these Matajis who make garlands for the Lord. My God, they are not voice devotees, these Matajis are. But every day, 6 hours, they are coming and making garlands for the Lord. And they are singing, they are hearing. Of course, there may be sometimes Prajalpa going also. That may be there. But that is one small fault, maybe there, here and there. But kind of, service they are rendering every day. Now, they may not be voice devotees. But is it that their service is not valuable? In fact, our Radha Vrindavan Center looks so beautiful because of this wonderful garlands they make, isn't it? So, there may be some flaws in their service. Maybe sometimes they may do some prajalpa here and there. That is, keep it aside. But then, the amount of service they are rendering is so amazing. How many of us are rendering 6 hours of their service to the Lord every day? How many of us are doing that? And such intricate, wonderful garlands they make for the Lord. So we can appreciate that. So it is not that just because they are not voice devotees, they are unqualified or they are not good devotees. So the point was to speak that, of course, these Matajis many times even they put their own money Sometimes if the money is less and they want to make best of the garland, so they even put their own money and make the devotee bring the flowers, and so that much attachment they have got. And they are feeling such deep separation from this service now because of lockdown. So the why we are talking this example, because it is not that only thing what we know is the only thing in the whole world. We have to broaden our understanding. So that's why we should, we should make our understanding more broad, and we should also become humble that I don't know everything of the world, and it is not that I am all knowing, omniscient, first of all, and there are many ways in spiritual life, so we have to broaden it. So one may say, then how do we know that something is right or something is wrong? It is more simpler is to put faith on our superiors, and if they are allowing it to happen, that is their problem. If somebody says that, okay, this is my way of serving Krishna, the superiors are sanctioning, then that's fine. Why should we take objection on that? And best way is to clarify with the devotee himself or with the superior. We should not argue or we should not hide, but it is good to clarify. Prabhu, can you tell me how is your understanding, this type of understanding developed? Can you tell that you may say like this, but this is what I have heard. So we should humbly clarify, not in public, personally, privately we should try to clarify. That, Prabhu, this is not what I have heard. This is what is my understanding. This is what I have heard. Let us discuss. And if no conclusion comes, then we have to go to our superior also and say that, Prabhu, he says like this, but he says, I feel this is my understanding. He will clarify like that. But in general, the thread behind this is that we have to know that there are many ways. Spiritual life is not just a stereotyped one way. It's not like that. There are many ways. There are many genuine ways. There are many sincere ways to do. Like often in our ISKCON society, in the early days, people would feel that those who are sincere, they are the Sankirtan members. Those who are useless, they remain in temple. But then Prabhupada very clarified many times that all services are absolute. You may think your service is most important, but that is not what a Vaishnava thinking. Vaishnava thinking is that everybody's service is so important, and we appreciate the service of every devotee and his own unique contribution, the mission. So that way, we have to develop little broader understanding. And broader understanding doesn't mean that we lose our own loyalty to what we are getting. That is another extreme we may go. Sometimes in the name of broadening, we also lose our own loyalty and we become we become like that. It's not like that. One should remain loyal to one's own training and ideals and the principles one is learning, but also learn to become little broad and accommodate others' ways of doing things. Like we may say that, see, in our own things also there are many flaws, right? Like we may say, our youth preaching is best. You see how Pune is doing youth preaching. They are produced so many gems. And all others who don't follow Pune standards, they are all bogus, if you think like that. Their all opinions are bogus. But, you see, in their system also some people are becoming sincere devotees, right? You cannot say that there is no sincere devotee in their system. And they are producing some results in their own way, even if you think that, okay, no, there are not brahmacharis coming out of their system. But okay, but as the brahmachari production is not the only result of youth preaching, right? And the purpose of youth preaching is to produce good devotees. So now in some temples they are such dedicated people, they may not be brahmacharis also, but they are so sincere. They are ready to do any seva for the temple. Their heart flows with the temple. They may not be brahmacharis. We may be staying outside and doing some job or something. So that is also success, isn't it? We cannot put our own definition of success everywhere. And in our own system also, there are a lot of flaws, isn't it? Have our people not run away because of our too much strong preaching? Isn't it? Sometimes do believe that we are able to inspire each and every person who comes in our fold? No. Where are our voices now? What rate our voices are growing? So there are good side of every preaching, another side of every preaching also. It's not that we cannot become artificially puffed up that we are the best and we know what is the best. Yes, we have produced some results, but others also have produced some results in their own way. And now one may say, so Prabhu, but that is not our goal. Okay, that is not your goal, so you keep it to yourself. You remain loyal to your own goal. You remain loyal to your own way of preaching and your own attachment to what you want to achieve by preaching. Let others also have their space of thinking what they would like to achieve. Not that everybody wants to make brahmacharis. They want to make good devotees and they're happy if people are. And is that not a success? Is that not what our GBC and Srila Prabhupada wanted? So in this way we have to, learn to appreciate others also. Like that time we had gone to Ujjain Yatra. So they have very wonderful devotees who have come from their preaching. They may not be exactly following our Pune model, but whatever way they are preaching, they also have got some brahmacharis, some grihasthas, some sincere Vaishnavas. So that is also wonderful. And there are some people who are ready to give huge amounts of donation for the temple. So that is also a good thing. After all, temple also needs some donations, right? There are some people who are ready to support the temple in various ways. So these are all very nice things. So that's how that little broad understanding should be developed. But at the same time, we have to learn to remain loyal on our own ideals. Otherwise, we will become of nowhere. So that we have to remain loyal to our own understanding and our own bona fide ways of doing the things, provided that they are bona fide. And also at the same time, we should become little broad, accepting others' bona fide ways. So bona fide is an important word. Otherwise, not that whimsical ways. So don't get into the trap that सब कुछ ठीक है. Not like that. सब कुछ ठीक नहीं है. But we have to see that if others' way is different, but it is bona fide, it is accepted by our Guru Vrindas, GBCs and our Shastras, then it should be accepted. That's it. I don't know, does this answer your question, Rohit, too?
Yes, Prajit, very much. Prajit, so reconciling the two things is also an option with guidance, or that should not? We should be loyal to us. So I just wanted to clarify.
Can we also take some other option of doing the things? Like that is your question?
Means taking some part which may be helpful, trying to reconcile, or just means stick to the way or whatever. Means in all aspects, I'm not targeting some specific aspect.
It should be done under blessings. Whatever is there, we can express our heart to our superior, and we should see whether it is okay, all right, and it should be done under blessings. Then it is fine. Like somebody may be youth preacher. Again, same example. But he may feel more inspired by Varnashram. Like Sadai Pro is more into Varnashram now, although he was youth preacher. So, but he is being under blessings of Bhakti Rasamrut Maharaj and other senior Vaishnavas. So that is wonderful. So in our youth preaching, we may not have any scope for Varnashram. We don't do anything about Varnashram in youth preaching. Our job is only to make people into Vaishnavas, right? But Varnashram we don't try so much for. But somebody may be very inspired by that, and that is a bona fide way. But he has to do it under proper blessings, proper guidance, that way.
Yes, sir.
Otherwise, we cannot discriminate between what is our mental whim and what is the different taste. These two are different things. A mental whim is a different thing, and having a different taste in devotional service is a different thing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
What do you say, Rohit Kum?
Yes, I agree to that. Yes.
Mhm.
It might be a mind problem
So,
or
mm, actually, loyalty doesn't mean that, you know, we cannot have our own particular taste and nature. Loyalty is loyalty in terms of principles, and principles, in terms of our own, what do you say, attachment to the process of devotional service. Hmm? So, if somebody says, I have taste for Radha Kund, I want to become Radha Kund Baba, that is not loyalty, because that's what not our Prabhupada ever emphasized upon. But at the same time, he very much emphasized, he also writes in Nectar of Devotion that one should reside at Radha Kund. But then, how do we reconcile? If your guru is telling that, okay, you reside at Radha Kund and do book distribution there, that's a wonderful seva. He can do book distribution, and guru will tell, but dare not touch any, go to any Babaji. Never look at the widows, You just, and no, never offend Radha Kund. You just be focused on, book distribution over there. So such service is wonderful. So Prabhupada told some devotees to stay in Vrindavan. Some devotees Prabhupada told to go out of Vrindavan. So that way. So it has to be done under proper blessing. Then it will be very good. So we can express our desire to our superiors that, Prabhu, I would like to serve in this way. What do you say about it? And they will tell us, okay, unless and it is totally off track, they will, mostly they will accept. And they will say, okay, you do it, but take care of these things, Don't, these are the danger zones for you. Like somebody said, Prabhuji, I have great desire to serve great Vaishnavas. You so much speak about association of great Vaishnavas, association of great Vaishnavas. So I want to serve a great Vaishnava. Okay. So if somebody comes to me, or Ayasham Prabhu, he will say what? Okay, you can serve if that Vaishnava is ready to accept you. But ensure that your sadhana doesn't get affected. Your sadhana should be going on very well. And then second warning I would give to that devotee is also that, please, because these great souls, they have to handle great issues also. Their issues are of very high level. You may get to hear some big issues which are not suitable for you to understand. So if something is bewildering, you come and express and get it clarified. So these two things warnings are given to him. So then with these two warnings, if he goes and he faithfully follows these warnings, he will go on and he will become an exalted Vaishnava in association of other great Vaishnavas. He himself will also become very exalted. But he becomes careless in following, okay, will gaya permission, blessing will gaya. No, blessing has gone with two conditions, two warnings. One is sadhana. So if suppose he is serving a great person, but he is not doing sadhana at all, and he is, simply burning out his body, certainly that's also a wonderful blessing. But then he has to consult that how do I do my sadhana? And then sometimes that great soul may be out of, India sometimes. So you focus on your sadhana that time at least. Like that adjustments can be done. But if it becomes very whimsical thinking that, oh, I am also great Vaishnava now. Arey, itne log mujhe salute karte. Arey, aapko kyun salute kare? Because you are with that great person. That's why till the time you are with that great person, people are saluting you. Nobody will cheer for you otherwise, isn't it? Similarly, if one thinks, oh, I am so mature myself, although I am getting disturbed by certain issues of, what I am coming to know, but I myself can handle. Who cares? I don't want to tell this superior because he is more immature now. I am more mature than him now. Then that even though one may be doing that great service to a great Vaishnava, that can cause one, cause one's degradation also. Because one is not following properly the things. So, so that's how this blessings of Vaishnavas, and proper guidance is very much required in our life. Hmm. That is a very important aspect. Hmm. Because otherwise we may have our own desires, but if we don't take proper care, who will be loser is ourselves only. Nobody else will be loser. Are you getting? I don't know, because I am not able to see any one of you at all. So
Yes,
I don't know
yes.
whether I am speaking, something which is beyond this thing. So this is the disadvantage of phone, as I don't get to see anyone. What is there?
No, Praji, it is
Like that.
making sense, at least to me. So I could get my answer.
Yeah. So even a wonderful service which can be elevating can also be obstacle in case there are no proper blessings and proper guidance. Although in general that service, like I gave example of this Mat Seva, because now so many of our classes we discuss about Mat Seva, Mat Seva, Mat Seva. But if you don't go there with proper understanding, because Mahats are also fire. They are like fire also at the same time. So if fire is wonderful. It's very essential to cook. For cooking, fire is extremely essential. But if you are not careful, you will get burnt in the fire, isn't it? So same way, any service like that, we may say, Prabhu, I want to get into this preaching. Okay, very nice idea, Prabhu. You may go there. But see, there is another group is preaching also over there. So we should not, disturb them. Otherwise, they will complain to Guru that, why this person has come? We are already preaching here. So we have to, take this, guidance from superiors little seriously, that, okay, they know that how much to go in what field. And then we remain very safe and secure in that state. And then that progress will be very solid. So our desires can be wonderful. In fact, that's how the nature of every living entity is, that even in our last class we discussed, if you remember, we were discussing this point, that how to develop higher taste. One of the point of developing higher taste was, we discussed 6 points, right? 6 points, 5 points. 6 points we discussed, So in that, one of the important point was that we should engage into those activities which are of our taste in devotional service. So we all should think how I would like to serve Krishna. What are my aspirations to serve Krishna? What is the way I would like to serve Krishna? That is also a wonderful way about developing higher taste. So it's very nice that if we can take initiatives, it's nothing forbidden, that we can always take initiative, that, Prabhu, there is so much of this college is remaining for preaching. Can we start a preaching over there? Or, can I do some farming? Or can I do some, can I make some garland for the Lord? Or whatever way. That taking initiative is wonderful thing. But it should be just done with consultation. So, but if one takes that initiative, it will be a wonderful seva for the Lord, because it will be satisfying for us also, and we can do wonderful seva for the Lord also. So both way it is very nice. Like Chaitanya Charan too, you see, he has that desire of studying shastras and scientific understanding, and preaching with proper understanding, making a proper preaching with proper scientific and deep shastric, scholarly way of preaching. So now he has done it under proper blessings of his Guru, and he is flourishing like anything. Everywhere in the world is being appreciated. Of course, that's not our goal, that everybody in the world should appreciate us, but we see that he is flourishing in that way. So that was always encouraged by Srila Prabhupada, taking that type of initiative. So the only little bit, we have to learn to take little guidance and listen. Then it is wonderful. I hope that is all right.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we should stop here. जय श्री प्रभुपाद की जय.
Jai.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. ये कौन है? Done. Now, done.